how you can shift entrepreneur imposter syndrome. This was a really popular thread in the DC about 3 or 4 months ago. A lot of people have it. So why am I talking about this? Because I wrote a book, Intuitive Leadership Mastery, and also I'm a host of a podcast on intuition, and we're going to use some intuitive methods to clear this. So I just want to give you a heads up, if anyone here, I'm going to need a volunteer who wants to have this issue cleared permanently from their life. So contemplate that for about 10 minutes time. Okay?
Good deal.
So what is this imposter syndrome that a lot of entrepreneurs have? They've got some amazing work that they could be doing, but they get self-doubt, worry, they get anxious, they procrastinate, over-prepare, do lots of planning, spend far more time doing stuff than it really needs doing, probably don't even do all the stuff they could do. Eventually they do it, but then when they finally do it, they don't even think they did a good job. And if people tell them you did great, they don't believe them, or they think it was just luck. So they feel like a fake, they get depressed and anxious. Anyone here ever had that? Just a few. Okay. So that's summarizing the same info in text, because I'm going to give these slides to you later. And it's basically a pattern we have that result in low self-esteem, underachieving, stress, and most importantly for entrepreneurs, less profits, less joy, and more stress. I don't think anyone here wants less profits, less joy, and more stress. We want it the other way around, right? So here are some of the things some DCers have said about their entrepreneurial imposter syndrome. Okay? Feel like a fraud, everyone else is doing great and they're singing praises. Feel like something's missing, something's wrong, even when you're celebrating a success. Or maybe you don't even celebrate your success. Does everyone here celebrate their successes? A few people? Who doesn't celebrate their successes?
Not enough of them.
Not enough, yeah. And feeling like you're a fake when everyone else in the room is for real. Or thinking that your success wasn't as big as other people think it is. So, causes a lot of problems. And 70% of people have had it at one time or another, and 2/5 of people, that's 40% of people, have it all the time. Even famous people like Santa Claus have it. I don't know if you can read this. It says, we shouldn't be worrying about why other people don't believe in you. We should be worrying about why you don't believe in you. All right, well, we've asked this. Most people have this. So let's look at what this is actually costing you. Okay? So let me ask some people here. What do you feel this has cost you in your business or life?
It takes longer to launch stuff.
How much longer?
I don't know, as long as you procrastinate and keep trying to make
so
it perfect.
50% longer?
Probably, yeah.
And what's that worth to you in dollars?
Probably a lot.
Well, put some numbers on it. And that took another 100 hours to launch, so it cost you another $10,000.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say it's certainly cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 10 years to just...
Hundreds of thousands?
Oh, yeah. By just not taking advantage of opportunities, not hiring the right people, not seeking the right people. Like, there's a lot of things that just, like, I've kept it small because of a certain worldview and a certain view of myself. Yeah, absolutely. Easily hundreds of thousands of dollars. Picturing someone else stepping in and being CEO, you know? Like,
they would be having your business make hundreds of thousands more. You'd have less stress.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd be happier.
Yeah.
Wow. What about at the back? Any feeling on the costs there?
I was just saying that I think that the impact can be exponential because early successes when you're working as hard as what your potential might be, if you were to realize it, feed it some more and they become bigger, and it's moving faster, it's growing faster.
So really your business could be millions of dollars bigger after 10 years if you didn't have this issue.
I feel like I could have done my first 5 years of that half as much.
You could have got to where you are now in half the time. Wow. So here's what one DCer I interviewed for a case study, and I'll give you the link to the video of the case study in this prezzo. But here's what she said she thought it cost her when we drilled down into it. She figured she was losing 90% of her sales. She could make 10 times more sales, And we put that into numbers. She felt she could be made, and she's a single, kind of freelance type DCF. She felt she could be making another $324,000 a year if she didn't have this self-doubt and not getting things done issue. Also, she felt that her mission to change the planet for the better just wasn't happening, right? Because she didn't trust herself to be able to do it. She wasted 20% of her time, she thought, which is 288 hours, right? That's like 6 weeks of effort. It's just wasted. And on the energy side, she felt she only had 40% of the energy she would have if she was like really confident and trusted herself. She doesn't have energy to do things. She was depressed, anxious. Her health suffered. In order to counteract the not feeling so good, she ate extra desserts. Has anyone here eaten extra dessert when they were feeling depressed? How's that working for you? For me, it doesn't work good. For like 10 minutes, I feel great, and then I feel like shit later. And also, she makes decisions slower, which maybe comes back to your point, Christopher, of the business moves slower, because business is a lot about making decisions, good decisions, fast. All right. So, what do people conventionally do to address this issue? What maybe you've tried? Maybe you make a gratitude list, yeah? Or you put yourself out there because you're not the only one who's an imposter, and face your fears. Or you use these fears to make yourself work harder, do better. Because like if you're fake, then you have to be twice as good as everyone else. I think a lot of women have this. We're not, because women generally are treated as not as good, so we have to work twice as hard to be the same as where men are. But everyone has imposter syndrome, has this too, whether they're male. Another suggestion someone posted in that forum post is they just stopped listening to podcasts because they got depressed every time someone said they're doing great stuff. But the problem with all of these methods, they sort of work a little bit, but they're all basically either covering up the issue, like the desserts do, or they're redirecting the pain. So they're not a permanent solution. Next week you still have the imposter syndrome. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to share some ways of permanently getting rid of it by going to the root cause of it. So let's look at what the root cause of this is. Basically, it typically comes from beliefs or patterns that we have that we picked up either in childhood by being shamed or criticized or abused, or maybe you had an abusive boss if you had a job who criticized you, or maybe right now you have clients who are not nice to you and say mean things to you, or don't treat you well, or don't pay your bills on time. Also, there's just a whole societal thing that I don't know if anyone's been in. Has anyone been to Japan or knows about Japanese society? They have this saying there, the nail that sticks out is hammered down. Well, that's really uplifting, isn't it? It's like, oh, if you're exceptional, no, you need to be like put back and be as average as everyone else. I think nearly all schools, all traditional schools, tend to make this behavior a thing. They don't want exceptional children, they want people who obey orders. Schools were, I don't know if you know this, but schools in the United States were started around the 1890s because the United States needed efficient factory workers who obeyed orders, and they needed people who could be conscripted into the army who would, guess what, obey orders. They didn't need exceptional entrepreneurs who came up with clever ideas. Also, if you've ever been involved in the military or a government career, or you've gone to the hospital to get care, typically they don't treat you as an exceptional person. They want you to obey what you do, right? Also, has anyone here got friends or family who have this issue?
Well, certainly.
Yeah. Well, you're probably also reinforcing it from them. If you have it and your friends and family have it, you kind of reinforce each other. And if you happen to do anything good, they don't tend to celebrate your successes. They'll tend to put down your successes instead. All right. So here's how we're going to cure it, and we'll come to some details on this. But basically, there's 4 steps. First, you've got to figure out what are the beliefs you have so you can get rid of them. Yeah, if they're unconscious, it's hard to clean them up. Then you're going to measure how much of the issue you currently have. right? How strong is this belief that I have? You could say on a scale of 0 to 10, is it where 0 it doesn't have any effect on me, and 10 is like a really major belief I have? Where is it right now? Because when you're clearing things, you need to know how much you've got left to clear. Then you're going to use, I'm going to show you 8 intuition techniques you can use to clear. I'm also going to give you another 6 non-intuition ways. So if you don't like any of this woo-woo stuff, you can use some stuff that's less woo-woo to clear it. Okay? But whatever you do, I don't care if you use my stuff or use someone else's stuff, but I do care that you get rid of this issue because it makes your business more profitable, makes you more joyful, makes you more fun to be around. And I'm running a business intuition revolution I'll tell you about at the end that this ties into. And I need all entrepreneurs to be stepping up at this point. And then when you've done these 3 steps, you want to regularly look back and see, okay, is some other facet to this issue come up? You know, maybe I cleared this part of it, the belief that I'm fake, but you know, I don't celebrate my successes, or because I have some belief that it's, you know, bragging to celebrate, or whatever the other belief is. So you kind of keep re-noticing to see, are there any other things there, or how am I doing? You know, can I celebrate that I've got rid of this? And these are the 8 different tools I'm going to use with you today to help clear it. To the Light Connect, what would it take? Youngest age pattern recycler, percentage clears, and what will it take to get to the next level? Creating a spiritual advisory board, clearing ancestor lines with the issue, cord cutting to other people that have the issue, and asking your future self for advice. So, and as this famous older man says, the only really valuable thing is intuition, Albert Einstein. So, now you know what the problem is and how we're going to address it. Who wants to be on the hot seat to get it cleared?
Casey, you just raised your hand.
I want to help her out if nobody else is going to volunteer. But
All right.
if somebody else wants to, absolutely. But
Excellent. Thank you for volunteering, Casey. So, on a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is you don't have any of this, and 10 is it's like overwhelming in your life, how much of this do you have right now in this moment?
I'd say it's about a 5. I've done a lot of work on it, but still more to do.
All right. Excellent. So, let's start off by connected to light. Okay, so you may be familiar with grounding or connected to light. This is doing both connected to light from above and from below. So I just invite you to put both feet on the ground, close your eyes. Imagine taking your energy or consciousness up a few thousand miles, connecting to your love, light, truth, and beauty, and bringing that down through the top of your head, through your throat, your chest, your stomach, your abdomen, your legs, your feet, and going down, down, down to the center of the earth, and feeling the unconditional support, acceptance, and love of Mother Earth, and bringing that up through your feet, your hips, your abdomen, your stomach, your chest, throat, head, through the top of your head. So now you have light coming from below and above at the same time. And now expand your heart out as big as the room, as big as the city, as big as the country, as big as the planet, as big as the solar system, as big as the galaxy, and as big as the universe. So that was me going very quickly through to like, you can open your eyes. Notice how you feel when I said do that process. Most people feel a lot better having connected to the light and expanded their energy. So that's a good trick. If you're feeling like self-doubting, just do this and then go to the task you've been procrastinating on. It's usually a lot easier to deal with. I have a written description of that and a video on my website. So having done that, Casey, I'd like you to imagine you can see this pattern of being an imposter as an entrepreneur in front of you as like a pattern of colored spaghetti or whatever. And now see light going into that from above and below, kind of dissipating it. And just throw more and more light into it. Just to have a whole waterfall of light coming from above and below, just washing it away. And what, are you okay sharing what you notice when you do that?
Just feel calm.
Calm. And so let's just do a quick remeasure. How much of it's left at this point?
I mean, I'd say, yeah, down to like 2 or 3, kind of just
So you went from a
letting
5
go.
to a 2
Yeah.
or 3, and you spent years trying to get rid of this issue to get from a 10 to a 5. And
I
you
think a lot of that work has been that I can reconnect in that way when I need to, like a lot of that stuff. But yeah, absolutely. Like it's sort of the get rid of it today.
So we just spent 3 minutes to go from a 5 to a 2 or 3. That's pretty powerful. All right, let's do. Ready to do some more?
Sure.
All right. So, what would it take is a question I've been using in the DC for about 2 years now. It's a very powerful question because it accesses your intuitive mind, and it's not a how question. It's not like how will I solve this issue. It's what would it take to solve this issue, which opens it up to other people could help you, or your own intuition could help you, or spirit could help you. Okay, so here's some what would it take questions for you, Casey, and everyone else. And anyone else who has this issue while I'm working with Casey, please, use what I'm doing for yourself too. So what would it take to clear this pattern right now? That's a question for your intuition, Casey.
I think a big thing is just to give myself permission. I think I have a lot of people around me who are close to me who struggle with this, and I often feel like I can't step up and just be easy about it and just kind of discard it because I feel like, well, maybe they know something I don't. Maybe I should be hesitant, or maybe I should stay small, or maybe I shouldn't, get too big for my britches.
So you have permission.
So, okay, thank you. Permission granted.
So let's go on that. What would it take for it to be safe, right, and good? For you to see all your reality clearly? Because a lot of this entrepreneur syndrome is we're not seeing our own reality clearly. We're doing really good, or we have really great skills, but we don't think we do.
I think I need a daily practice to just kind of go through kind of meditation like we just did, and even like day to day, hour to hour, kind of give myself time and space to go through that process and to just breathe and or go for a walk outside or whatever it takes to kind of let go of whatever, not just the specific situation, but all the stuff that the beliefs about that situation or those patterns.
You've got a smart intuition. So what would it take for you to trust yourself 100%?
I think the only answer to that is to decide to.
Okay. Can you do that right now? What would it take for you to decide to trust yourself?
Just making the choice. Yeah. Just doing it.
What would it take for you to deserve your success? What would it take for you to deserve all of your success?
It's a hard one. Maybe it's staying focused on the people in my life who do reinforce that message. Yeah, I think it's to choose to pay attention to the people in my life who are going to reinforce that message, and to align myself with them, and to try to distance myself from the people who don't, or at least just kind of filter that input.
Great. I appreciate you for crying. So, because crying is a great way to release stuck emotions, as is laughter, orgasms, shaking.
I'd rather be having an orgasm right now, but
What would it take for you to be more than good enough to be successful?
That's a trick question to me, because I'm like, oh, I need to like read more books or do more, coaching or whatever, and
Well, I said be, not do.
right.
A lot of us here are really good at doing. We're not so good at being.
I guess it depends what good enough means. Like, what does it mean to be more than good enough? when I think about the successful people I know who I think that they are more than good enough, I mean, it's part of it's their expectation. Like, they expect that they're going to walk into a room and be treated a certain way, or they expect that they're going to get on the phone with a prospective client and close the deal.
So what would it take for you to expect that you're going to do that?
I mean, I think just knowing that it is a sense of expectation, perhaps. Just having a vision for what that looks like and deciding to inhabit it. So maybe clarifying what it looks like for me a little bit more. You know, like if I'm more than good enough, then what that means, what I see myself doing is like not rolling my eyes at some stupid question that a client makes, or not getting, you know, annoyed that I have to train somebody on the team, you know, a third, fourth time on a task. It's a place of expectation that like that it's heading in the right direction. It'll turn out right.
Cool. Sounds good. So, what would it take for your success to be resilient, even if you make mistakes?
I think maybe writing or journaling to have a sense of perspective, and looking back over stuff that I've written in the past to have some sense of perspective, that like mistakes that I made years ago that I still cringe when I think about, but then I look at like how much is that affecting my day-to-day right now, and like how much has that really affected my business, and it's like everyone else has moved on, so it doesn't matter. Just kind of maybe recalling some of the past things and just writing, journaling to kind of get
Maybe
back.
forgiving all your past mistakes.
Sure.
All right. Well, let's move forward. You've got the other question there. Leave that. Let's go and have a look at clearing up where this got created when you were young, because that's typically where most of us got this from. So I'm going to ask you, when you think about having this entrepreneur imposter syndrome, like a recent thing where you were holding yourself back, what do you notice emotionally? What emotions do you notice?
Kind of maybe feeling a little trapped, feeling like there's stuff that's kind of stuck in there that I want to say or do that I feel like can't get out.
And what do you notice in your body?
Restless, tense.
Where in your body?
Feet, hands.
Feet and hands feel restless?
Yeah,
Anything
like
else?
clenching,
Yeah.
twisting, butterflies in the stomach.
Any other emotions?
Shame.
Shame. Happy, sad, angry, fear, anxiety,
Fear, maybe a little bit.
little fear.
Or more anxiety, more precisely, yeah.
Okay. So, thinking about your hands and feet shaking, your stomach with butterflies, you've got a little anxiety, you've got some shame. I would ask your intuition for an answer. You don't have to rationally know the answer to this. What's the youngest age you felt the same way? Just the first number that comes to your mind.
8 years old.
And who was that with, if you remember?
Second grade.
Okay.
Probably with, like, at school.
Okay. Do you notice the energy of your voice just shifted?
Yeah.
So let's just reconnect you to the light. Go up above, below, expand your heart out and speak to the universe. And now I want you to send light to that 8-year-old little girl and clear that pattern she had. And see her clearing that. Because typically when we create this in childhood, we create some pattern or some belief. We recreate it throughout our lives until we clear it. And I'm guessing you've had this repeatedly throughout other ages. Is that true? So let's see love and light going to all those other ages of you and clearing all of those as well. Remember to breathe. Okay, what do you notice now?
I probably have a little more work to do there, but I feel like feeling more calm and clear.
So let's just check in on your original issue, you know, the task where you were holding yourself back because of this imposter syndrome in your business. What number do you feel it's at right now?
It's probably back up to a 3 or 4.
You've become more aware of some other stuff
Yeah.
that was hanging out there?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's okay. Sometimes you push the number down, sometimes you dig up old shit and you're like, whoa,
Right.
this smells crap.
Right.
Okay, so you can come back to
Yep.
this yourself.
Yep.
I'm just aware of how much
Yeah,
time
I've got some
I
more to
have.
do there, yeah.
Yeah. So, what percentage have you cleared right now from where you started today?
Maybe about half.
So 50%.
Yep.
So what would it take for you to get to have only 40% left?
Some writing, some thinking, kind of maybe repeat this process, just meditate on it, and just it's interesting the way you're kind of framing it in terms of asking intuition as opposed to intellectualizing it, because I can intellectualize and spit out all these different explanations and reasons, but to try to let go of that a little bit and just write or just be with it.
Yeah, for people here who are not used to asking your intuition, typically the first answer that comes into your head is your intuition. Second thoughts and other answers are your intellect. So you can use this technique repeatedly. Once you've done that, whatever her intuition came up with, you could do it again. Say, okay, now I'm at 40%, what would it take to get to 30%? Or wherever. So you can use that to walk your way down. Who here has a spiritual advisory board? Woo! Yay! Who's on your? Are you okay sharing who's on your board? Okay. So you may be aware that a regular advisory board for your business is where you get colleagues, other entrepreneurs, and they give you advice. Maybe you meet once a month and you share problems you have in your business, or you tell them how you're doing, and they give you advice, right? A spiritual advisory board is the same thing, but you're not restricted to physical people who you know, okay? You can have other living people. You can have Richard Branson on your board, or Oprah Winfrey, or Queen of England. It doesn't matter, okay? And you don't have to ask them physically for permission. You just invite their higher self, their spirit, onto your board. They could be people who are dead. Maybe you want Thomas Edison on there because he was a really great inventor and you think he might have some good ideas. Or maybe there's a great marketer who died who you want on your board. They also could be imaginary or fictional characters. Who are some imaginary or fictional characters that you really admire that could help you out in your business? Anyone? People you've read in the book. What about Atlas Shrugged, for example? Who's the character in that?
John Galt.
John Galt. You could have John Galt on your board, for example. And you don't have to take... Suppose you have someone who, suppose you think Genghis Khan would be really good at expanding your business, but you just don't actually want to have the killing part of it involved. You could say, I'm just going to take his really strong drive and have that part of my advisory board, but I'm going to leave the other stuff he had going behind. Okay? So, or maybe there's an entrepreneur right now who you admire part of them, but other parts are kind of icky. Yeah? I'm sure we all have favorite entrepreneurs that wow, they're really good at doing something, right? But I really don't like the way they do other things. And you put them on a board and you go into your mind, you have a meditation where you sit quiet and you think, well, what would this person say? Okay, it's a bit like, has anyone heard the question, what would Jesus do? No. Yeah, so you can ask that of any person. What would John Galt do? What would Madonna do? What would Donald Trump do except his nice part? And then you get advice. So it's sort of going to your own intuition But it's going beyond that to other people's skills and abilities that you don't necessarily have strongly developed in yourself. I believe we're all infinite beings with a body, having a human experience with our businesses. We're not business people occasionally getting spiritual. Yeah? We're all infinite beings with a body, with a business. It's a different way of looking at it. And we actually have all of the infinite abilities. We just pretend that we don't. And this is a trick to get you to access some of those infinite abilities that you have. All right. Sorry, I didn't know. You can think about your own spiritual advisory group. What about ancestors? So these are questions again for your intuition. You don't have to know factually how many of your ancestors had this, but how many ancestors on your mum's side had this imposter issue?
Many.
Well, name a number.
Oh.
Just make a number up.
86.
86, yeah. And on your father's side? Just the first number that pops into your head.
No, I'm just that question just made me realize, like, nobody, like, or that wasn't as much of a issue. They were all maybe too busy drinking to think about it, but, yeah, it's like, 9.
Okay, so let's reconnect you to the light, go up, down, expand out, speak to the universe, and now see all those ancestors having their issue cleared, both the living and the dead, because they've passed it on to you. Parents typically pass on to their children the beliefs that they have, right? We all know that's true with typically religion, right? It's very common that parents want their kids to have the same religion, but they also do it with all the other beliefs they have. So if they believe they're a faith, they're going to treat you as though you're a faith. So, yeah, just see that clearing all your mum's line, all your father's line. What about past lives? How many past lives have you had with this issue? What's the first number that came into your head?
I didn't get it. I just got 0.
0.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you had past lives, you could clear those too. And now, what percentage is left from where we started?
Down to 40.
Down to 40. Okay. You can play with that more. Now, some people here said you had friends and family who have this stuff, and it tends to reinforce you having it. So you can cord cut with your friends and family, but I do this anyway. Cord cutting means you cut all the negative energy connections you have with someone else. Okay, you keep the loving connection, you're just cutting the negative stuff where they're sucking your energy. I mean, has anyone here been around someone and you just feel drained after you've been with them? Yeah, that's because they literally had a cord of energy connecting to you, sucking energy out of you. I know they may have also been saying and doing things that were kind of negative, but if you examine it psychically, that's what's going on. So, how many, let's look at your friends and family and people who you work with. How many cords do you have with all these people?
Probably five or 6 important ones. That's the number that comes up.
Yeah, and for the one that's the strongest, where in your body do you notice that?
Here.
Right there in your, just here?
Solar plexus right here, center
Okay.
of my chest.
Okay, so just visualize a big pair of scissors cutting that cord, and then where that attaches to your body, send in love and light, love and lower, clear it out. Can you identify how you let that cord stay attached to you?
I ask for it. I keep asking for this person's opinion. I keep like asking for permission, or
So what would it take to let that go?
It's a choice.
Okay, you want to make that right now? Yeah. You choose to stop asking that person's opinion, permission. All right. Another thing you can do is talk to your future self. Okay. So why don't we talk to your future self right now, Casey? She's probably already cleared this crap up. She's a wonderful, beautiful, shining human being with an amazingly successful and profitable business. So what does she have to say? What would help you? What would it take to clear this now?
Just trust your intuition. Do the things that you know you need to do. instead of inventing reasons not to, and let go of the ego that's preventing you from doing that. Feel like you have to be the best at the thing. Just, that's bullshit. Let somebody else be the best at it. Support them. That's your job.
She's pretty smart, this future self.
She went to DC Austin, so she got a lot of really good stuff.
So, I don't know how many of you know Chris Reynolds. He has a spiritual advisory board. He put his 98-year-old self on that advisory board, and when he's a little worried about business stuff, he goes talk to him. Yeah. He usually gets great advice. Typically along the lines of, don't worry so much, Chris, it will work out. But he also gets specific advice as well. And you can ask what she does to not have this pattern reoccur. Okay? And you could say, what would my future self do? You know, it's just a bit like, what would Jesus do? Like, what would future Casey do? You could even give her a name. Call her Future Casey or Super Casey, or I don't know. You can decide what name you want to give your future self. All right, so those were 8 methods. I went through them really quick. I'll share the slides afterwards. If you didn't resonate with any of those 8 methods, I'm going to leave some other ones in the slides. You know, there's flooding light onto it, which we sort of did. But there's also, has anyone done EFT tapping? Yeah? So you can use that on this. Here are some links for a video from it and some written instructions.
What's EFT?
Emotional freedom technique. Thanks for asking. Yes. It's been around for like 15, 20 years, I'd say. Other ways you can play act out the stuff, okay, but play out a different ending to the thing you're trying to shift. You could write out affirmations that have the opposite of whatever it is. You know, so instead of not believing yourself, you know, I believe in myself always, or I trust my decisions. As the book you can hear your life that goes into that technique. You were saying earlier, going for a walk in nature really helps. Anger therapy, you know, I've done this where you're with a therapist or a group therapy and you like take a baseball bat and you whack a pillow while you think about the thing that you're upset about. It's great for moving energy, clearing stuff. Another one from Australia is trauma release exercises. And that's a way of releasing stuff deep in the muscles inside the core of your body. So that's really powerful. Has anyone ever done that? No? Okay, well, if you're interested, you can find the exercises online. So, some resources. This is the case study video I mentioned. This was with a DCer where I spent about 40 minutes doing similar things I was doing with Casey and going through her stuff and getting rid of it. There's a podcast episode that was on the Tropical MBA about this, and there's a whole DC thread which was very popular. There's a lot of interesting things in there. So this is the revolution I'm inviting you to be part of. Now you know a bit about intuition business. It's my belief that all entrepreneurs and business leaders use their intuition openly at work. That's what the revolution would like to create. And we're doing this so we can have more profits, have less stress, and have more joy in our business. So that's our personal motivation. But there's also a planetary motivation, because I think if all business leaders did this, they'd make less stupid, dumb mistakes, like hurting other people, like employees and clients, or hurting the planet. I just don't think we do as much of that. I'm not saying we wouldn't do any, but I really think if we were in contact with our intuition, we wouldn't be doing that kind of thing anything like as much. And now is the time for this to happen, because you're probably all aware the pace of technology change is going exponentially up, right? And the pace of social change, political change, medical change, all kinds of things are changing so fast. We just can't do stuff the old-fashioned business way. You've got to use your intuition and your rational mind in order to have a successful, profitable, joyful business. So, if you're interested in this topic more, you can get my book on Amazon. And there's a podcast you can listen to. It's about 40 episodes that have been released on that. And there's my website. So, be intuitive.
Days. Podcast.
All right, good point.
Any questions?
Yeah, sorry. Mind if I ask something related, maybe not?
Can you speak up? Because you are now.
ask how this functions as a business and what your revenue streams are with
This is currently, I don't get a lot of revenue from this. I get a lot of joy from it. I get my revenue from my software business. I am creating a course on what would it take that will produce some revenue. I do get some revenue from the book, but I'm doing it because I think it's important that this revolution happen. And while a lot of people do talk about using intuition in their businesses, I don't really feel there's any one person who's championing it in the same way I am. If you know someone who is, let me know. I'd love to work with them. So.
Do you do coaching?
No. I have done that in the past, but the problem with doing coaching is it's one-on-one, and I can only coach, maybe 10 or 20 people at a time. I want to change millions of people, so. I mean, if you have a particular thing and you want some help, I'm happy to help you during this weekend, or in the DC. But I just made a conscious choice not to do that business model.
I'd just love to get your perspective. We talked a bit about how having people around you who suffer from this can kind of exacerbate it in you, and that can kind of make you more and more feel like an imposter. I've noticed in my team almost the opposite happens. Like I wouldn't say they have imposter syndrome, but they definitely don't consider themselves like fully capable and autonomous, and they have a bit of that kind of self-doubt and anxiety for sure. And I've noticed that the more I'm able to get past this imposter syndrome, they start to see me more and more as someone who can do anything and create these big projects and follow through on them. And when I see that reflected from them, it actually helps me feel more and more like that. So I think their self-doubt somehow helps me have less of it, which sounds funny, but it's definitely helping me.
Yeah, that's a great point. So the more you work, more as business owners we work on ourselves, the more it opens up our team to be able to be their powerful selves too. So great point. Yes.
I was just say I know someone who does healing like this in groups, and he charges $10,000 per person for a weekend.
All right.
We should talk.
All right.
It's totally possible. You have to switch the business model, and you can reach a lot of people that way. But there's a system for that, and there's people doing that. So
thank you, Karen.
People pay for it too.
Yeah.
Any final questions for Michael? Thank you again.
All right. Thank you.